with our new topic that is of HTTPS, but it is uh, too much related with the APIs and something else. So we have actually, first of all, you have to understand what is the REST and what is the API and its design. Okay, so let's go through with all of these things which are looking too much difficult, but that isn't okay. That aren't too much difficult. That looks like they are difficult. So we have to move on for the REST API. So first of all, we have to understand what is the REST API. Okay, we'll go there the whiteboard and have our get everything else for like easy understanding. So we will draw everything else there. So if you guys don't have subscribed yet, so please subscribe, okay, and you will get everything else here about the APIs, about the automation and everything else. Okay. So first of all, you have to start with the API. Okay. Uh, Here we will select the 10 and okay. First of all, we have to start with what actually API is. It stands for actually Application Programmable Interface and nothing else. Okay. So first of all, we have to understand what the API actually is. It stands for the Application Programmable Interface, which is the abbreviation for it. So whenever we want to, suppose we have an app and we want to, suppose we have an app and we want to integrate some of the features of the weather or something else, like we often offers the flight mm, flight tickets, but we actually also deal with the whether the weather is good or not for the flights. So we actually have to show the weather and also in the uh, flight app. Okay, so where people actually book the flights for themselves, wherever else, whatever else they go in the world. So, okay, so let's start with it. So when we make our design our flight website, we have to integrate the weather also in it. So it is very impossible for us to make another website and application and then integrate it in it. That takes too much time and also a great headache for us. Okay, so we have don't have to deal with all these things. So here we will know all this stuff. So we use the API of the different apps. Uh, Suppose we have now we integrate the weather app in it. Okay. So what is done here? Here uh, we whenever some user use our weather flight booking app, they check the weather. Now the our app use the REST API, okay, which is REST API, representational RNE stand for representational, and S for state, T for transfer, represent a representational state transfer. It means that so whenever our app calls the API or the database of that server, like weather app or everything else, so it just call him and tell him, hey bro, I want some data of the weather about for my flight app. So the rest actually here we have the app. Here we got the app, and here is the server. Okay, this is our app, and here we got the server. Okay, we have this the app and this is the server. Okay, so we have to actually wanna deal between them. So what is between them? There is the thing which comes here is the API, application programmable interface. Okay, it actually takes the methods from the app and go through the process and reaches the server. Okay, now server make an copy of, okay, copy of what? Copy of the data that the API wants, the app wants. Okay, so it make a copy of that database and actually hand over to the API. It is actually not the actual database, but it is actual a copy of, because API cannot access the direct database. So it actually gives the a copy, so that is understandable and is actually in the JSON form. Okay, so here API gets that thing and it takes that copy and it is actually then comes back to the app and submit here. Okay, so whenever we get this, we have used the server or database of so we have the API and the app and the server. These are three things. So we have actually accessed the database of the server without even touching the database. Okay, that is actually a safe use of the database, which can we do in this form. Okay, so this is the API, and this was a short overview for it. So why this is called the representational REST API? Why do we use the representational API? Okay, we will see it here. Okay, we use the REST API. Here we have add some text. Here, um, why we use the REST API? Write it here. We will REST APIs. Why do we use the REST API? Uh, why actually we do use the REST API? Okay, REST API. Why is it actually used? Here we got this idea why we actually use the REST API. To move on to the idea, REST API. We call it the REST because of the first letters we have got here. Like we will call it. Sorry for that. Here we go. Uh, yeah. R stand for representational representational, and the other one and representational state. Okay, representational state, and the last one is the transfer. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's move on. Like some new jobs for us. So representational state transfer we got here. Today, yeah, actually, this journey is too much time taking for us, but we have to integrate everything else here. Okay. Uh, okay. So why we call it the representational state and transfer, because the server was making a copy of the database which we called a few minutes ago. um, that was called it make a representation of that database and hand over it to the API. So and state means that uh, it actually gives the correct state of that current state in which the state in which the data is currently, And transfer is just mean transfer means just only transferring the data. When it actually transfer the data, so it is called the REST API. Okay, we have a short overview of, and if you guys like it, please submit it also to your other friends. It will be a very great for me. Okay, so this was a short overview of the REST API, and we let's move on to another topic, which is why do we use the REST API and the resource-oriented URLs. There we have actually highlighted the resource-oriented URLs. What that actually means, we will have to go for it. Here we have to go for the JSON dot placeholder and something else. Here we will go and see. Okay, here are some of the resources. Okay, then we got some resources in which we have the comment, post, albums, photos, to dos, and user. Everything else you got there, we will access this. So what he was calling us, he was saying that resource oriented URLs. Then here we got, can you see, this is slash and post. This actually shows the resource which we want to access. Okay, so this is actually resource oriented URLs. What if I add here comments, then it will actually get all the comments here. Can you see it? Yeah, here we go, there are all the comments. So, and what if we add here photos and everything else, it will get that. Sorry, it was caps lock on. So what we get photos, then here we will get that. So okay, we have get all these things. So whenever we mention the resource name after the domain name, that is actually the URL, which is also the resource oriented. Okay, so we have to move on for what the third topic is Crud to HTTPS mapping. Okay, so we have to understand a simple scenario. We have what things we got here. We have third operation on the server side. Okay, on the Rust API side, third. Okay, we have to enter here. We have the create. First one is the create, which is actually equal to we are mapping just the. So first of all we have got create and arrow. Okay, so first of all we have to the create operation on the API side, which is also mapping towards the what we have post method. Okay, post method of the HTTPS method. Okay, so this is actually the mapping. And third one is we got uh, here we will actually create the second one is the read operation, and it's actually post towards the what it actually maps towards the uh, get operation. Okay, and another one is we got uh, update, which also maps towards there are actually update two types of updates in HTTPS method. The one is the put, and another one is the patch. So we have write both of them here. Now one is the put and the second one is the patch. Okay, so they are also mapping towards the update, and the last one is the delete. Okay, so we will got here the delete operation. It is all actually on the REST API side. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, create, and this is also mapping towards the delete HTTPS method. So this is a short overview for uh, This is actually a short overview for all of these things. So I hope you will get everything else. So what is actually the difference between the create poetry and actually they are post is what are our saying, our wordings to do something else, and create, read, update, third operations. These are actually the things you want to do. Okay, this is the shortest and easy explanation of that. And stateless is recursive content. Server remembers nothing, and you will understand it in the next chapter. So thanks for understanding. These are what we have learned today, and be on the right track. We will inshallah learn everything else in a very short overview. Okay, we have learned all of these things. So, so let's start. Now we have to move on the next topic in the REST API principles. That is, we have to understand what is the stateless. Each state is self-contained, contains the server remembers nothing. So we have actually understand what this actually means for REST API. Okay, so we will go in here on the whiteboard and understand it. Here we go. Uh, Sorry for that. What is the stateless? Okay, we have to add some texture. What is stateless? What is that terminology actually means? Okay, what is stateless actually means? We have to discuss it. Stateless. Suppose we have to an API and suppose we have Google and Google API and we have that text. Okay. Suppose we have suppose we have the Google API and we want okay, and we want to access the Google API with our app using the REST API. So what will it actually do? We will use the get, post, tags, and the delete methods, which are the HTTP standard methods in order to talk with the Google. Okay. On the backside of that will be REST API, and REST API, you know that it uses the CRUD operations for it. So what is the stateless actually doing here? So when we call the Google API, okay, there are thousands and millions of apps that are using the Google API in their apps and websites and whatever services they are providing to the users. Okay, so when the API is called, the get status and or the get the HTTP methods are used and along with their headers and bodies and everything else that is necessary for HTTPS methods. So what if these all of these HTTPS headers, bodies and everything else got saved on every call of Google API? Okay, and the server, suppose the server have to remember each and every API call, get, fetch, put, everything else. Every time the API is called, it have to remember these things. So what will be there? What will be there then? There will be chaos created. Okay, because it needs a huge memory to remember such a lot of users request and delete and everything else. Okay, so it will create the chaos and it need a lot of memory. Okay, a lot of memory to remember, a lot of memory to remember everything else and each and every call. Okay, so we have the word stateless terminology. What the stateless here means? So stateless is when the Google API is called and once again the second time it is called, third time, fourth time, each and every one is stateless. It means that the Google server don't know you who are, but it treats each and every request as a single and another separate request so that it can manage other things which are good for him and the memory is released. Okay, so this is the stateless in which the server don't have to remember each and every request from the API or the app. Okay, and this is very useful in English. So these are some things we got. And here we got the JSON is the standard response format for the REST API. This is actually, to some extent, it is good that we call that uh, JSON here. uh, JSON is most commonly used uh, request response. Okay, here we go. But just these are the things we have to discuss, and we will discuss about all the other things like HTTP status code, and these things are very much easier. They are just have you have to remember this thing and nothing else. Okay, so be in the journey and the right track, and always remember me to subscribe and get and hit the like button so that we will get some future details and you get don't miss my new videos. Okay, for now today this is enough. Keep learning and exploring.